Well, thank you for everybody that's here, both remotely and in person. My name is Santi Speranza. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about what I've been doing for the last 15 years as far as traveling the world on points and miles. And, I think the reason why this is relevant, at least to myself, and I think will be to all you fellow agents and members of the real estate community, is that, we have our own businesses. So we're all self-made people. We're all entrepreneurs. And in doing so, you have a brand, you have a business, and you work very hard, and you don't have really a structure in your life to say, this is when I'm going to take a vacation. This is when I want to go out and do something. And if you do, great. So this presentation will hopefully help you, make those vacations that you are already taking that much better. But if you don't, this presentation is really the aim for it. It's really to help you, realize what opportunities are out there, how to treat this as really another, support system for your entire business model that you already have. And you're already spending money on marketing. You're already spending money on gas and things like that. The purpose of this is to show you there's different ways to go about things. There's better ways to go about things, and really getting these rewards. And at the core of it, and within, deep within my heart, and the reason why I'm so passionate about this is it's about spending time with your family. We only get one turn around the sun. We want to make sure it's the best that we can make it. And, spending time with family, spending time with your children, spending time with friends, and, and having great experiences in life, this is what it's all about. So just real quick before we get started, just a special thank you to a few of the blogs that I follow. There's a lot of them out there, but the top ones are The Points Guy, 1 Mile at a Time, and then Flyer Talk. I do want to have a disclaimer here that I am not a financial planner, nor during any time throughout this presentation am I willing or able to provide any sort of financial advice. This is not what this is about. I'm just telling you my story, what I do, how it works for me. Happy to answer any questions, happy to support you with any ideas, suggestions that you might have, but just want to make that very clear. This is what works for me, and this is what I recommend as far as the system. Doesn't mean you have to do it the same way, and doesn't mean that you don't see it the same way. Not a problem at all. So, get that out of the way there. All right. So to get started, a few topics for our discussion today is that quick introduction and who actually is traveling, because you'll be surprised by some of the statistics I'm going to show you today of who's actually traveling, who's not traveling, and really it's a couple of funny points, but really a lot of interesting information. And then really the core of what this is called credit card churning. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is it, why do you do it, who does it, and how do you go about doing it. So after we get a quick little introduction into that, there's going to be about 10 to 11 steps that I've outlined myself to really help you as an introductory course to credit card churning and miles and points maximizing. Then a couple of pointers that I've built for myself, because I'm a very data-driven person. And as you should be in this business, you want to make sure that you're tracking your information. So track the credit cards you have, track the points that you're getting, track your miles, things like that. And then a little bit about points and miles valuation, so you can get an understanding of, you have the one school of thought, which is points and miles have a certain value. I don't really know what it is. It can kind of fluctuate. And you have the other schools of thought, which is cash back. And cash back is very structured, very simple. I either get 1 cent or 2 cents or whatever it may be, and that's it. But what I'm here to show you that there are differences. I'm not here to knock on cashback credit cards or cashback systems or anything like that. I'm here to show you there's options out there, and do what works best for you and your family and your friends to make sure that you can live the most enrichful life as possible. And then finally, since I want to make sure that you don't think I'm just up here randomly talking about nonsense and who the heck is this guy, I have a couple slides to show you some of the trips we've taken with myself, Holly, and the rest of my family, as well as what I've done for the last 15 years to pay my parents back for everything that they've done for me over their entire life. So a little bit about who travels. Obviously, as we as Americans, we treat vacation as a luxury, and it really should be a fact of life. In 2018, employed Americans, obviously more corporate America based as far as these figures, 768 million vacation days were left on the table. That's a staggering figure. There should be 0 vacation days left. You should take your vacation. You should take the time with your family. Work is always going to be there, no matter where you are. And, in comparison, not to pick on the French, although they did lose the World Cup, to Argentina. Yeah, but they took all their vacation. Why can't we do that, right? Why do we keep making excuses about why we can't take vacation? Why we can't do this? Why we can't do that? Stop saying we can't, and stop saying what about this and what about work's going to be there regardless. And in the connected world we live in, you shouldn't have to worry about that. I was just in Cambodia a week and a half ago, and I was putting together a deal, with a client that lives in Hawaii, and then talking to Holly, who was in Milwaukee, 13 hours ahead of me, and we made it work. It's just ingenuity, but just stop making excuses. Some of the rationales for people skipping vacation also are, obviously money is the number one, failure to plan. Work is my life. Obviously 10%, that's based on corporate America data. I have a feeling that we as realtors are probably like, it's a little flipped around. It's work is my life is the number one option or number one reason or excuse. You got to eliminate that, right? Well, money and planning being the most common cited reasons for not taking a vacation, a lot of respondents said that they just couldn't afford it. And lack of planning is also a difficult thing. Well, can't really help you with the lack of planning. That's really like, I can show you some tools, but I can show you that as far as affordability, if you start looking at the endless opportunities that are out there, not just following the system that I'm doing, but just making something of your own, I can tell you right now, you can eliminate that excuse 100% from your vocabulary. And I've been posting a lot. I think if you follow me and Holly on Facebook, as far as hashtag pursuit of happiness and things like that. Thank you to Kid Cudi, who's a rapper, entrepreneur guy. But I love the fact that he has a song, the pursuit of happiness, and that's what life is all about. It's really pursuing that happiness, making sure that you're putting yourself out there, putting yourself first, because nobody's going to look out for you better than yourself. Nobody's going to look out for your family better than you and your family. So just make sure that you keep that in mind in everything that you're doing, and making sure that you're continuously looking for what's going to provide me happiness, what's going to make me, want to get out there and do something. And so there are a couple figures real quick. 79% of people who actually vacation frequently, 3 times more or more a year. Guilty, yes. And you have a happy marriage. And my marriage might not be perfect, but I can honestly tell you, we are extremely happy because of the fact that we can go on vacation all the time. I mean, we're going on vacation later this year to Cancun, all paid on miles. I was able to take my dad to Cambodia a couple of weeks ago, all on miles. We go to Vegas at least once a year, all paid on points, and then comped through other programs and systems, things like that. So yeah, it really is an amazing life you're able to live. And we're not rich. We're normal working people, just like the rest of everybody here. Heck, I work 2 jobs. Next week, I'm going back to corporate America, and I'm still going to keep grinding and working with real estate and everything like that. So it's not a secret like, oh, you have to have money to do this or anything like that. You don't. You just have to have an ambition and a passion to pursue that happiness and what makes you happy and go after it. So what is churning, right? Well, the credit card, super boring definition, is an activity practiced by those who like to take advantage of offers by credit card companies in order to receive bonus miles for frequent flyer loyalty programs of airlines and bonus points for different guest loyalty programs for hotel companies, or even cash incentives, as we talked about the cashback. So also known as this crazy guy, which is me. So credit card churning, what is it in a nutshell? It's to produce in an abundant and automatic manner. And we're not talking about churning butter here, right? Why do you churn? It is really the fastest and most inexpensive way to earn points and miles to obtain free items, such as flights, such as hotels, car rentals, cash back, whatever you may be looking for. Who can do it? Anyone in this room, anyone listening online, anywhere around the world. This doesn't cost anything. What I'm talking to you about here isn't something I'm like, oh, you're selling a program. No, $0. This is a passion project of mine. I love to hear about people like that have either heard my presentation or I've sent them the PowerPoint, and then like maybe a couple months later, they'll shoot me an email or shoot me a text like, hey man, like, I love your presentation. You know what? I got the Southwest credit card and me and my wife went on a honeymoon we couldn't go on for the last 20 years just because we couldn't afford it. That to me, and getting the positive feedback and that karma back into my life, as corny as it may sound, it enriches my life to all belief. And that's, to me, that's what it's all about, is helping others and bringing other people up and collaborating with others and watching them be happy so you can live vicariously through them. And then how do you do it? Obviously, we're going to talk about that throughout the presentation today. Well, why do you do it? It's kind of a simple answer, right? Well, credit card churning allows everyday people like you and ourselves to like literally be able to enjoy the perks of having a wonderful vacation, really for pennies on the dollar. The majority of the vacations that I've taken, about 90% of them are all first class or business class flights, and pretty much, you know, around the same rate, about 90% of the time, all Holly and I are paying for are the taxes. So $11.20 for taxes for flights within the US, and outside of the US, roughly the most taxes you're looking to pay on a flight, international flights, is about 100 to 150 bucks. And so you'll see some of these flights are thousands of dollars each. And so you're able to literally fly for pennies on the dollar and live like a king, and bring your friends, you know, Josh and Mo and Paldo, slippers from your first class flights, and just have a great time doing it, right? So something that's staggering that I don't want you to forget about is that normally people take an international vacation once every 5 years. That's crazy. There are, I don't even know how many countries in the world, like 180, 190 countries in this world. And we're not living like Dracula. We're going to live 450 years so we can get to every country in the world eventually. Our lives are fairly short, for that matter. That's way too much time in between to take these amazing vacations and being able to experience life. So with this method, you can typically take a vacation like that every 16, 24 months. I've obviously been doing this for 15 years. So I've kind of gone, you know, into like kind of level 501, I call it. This is level 101. But, you know, I'm pretty much taking an international vacation or sending my parents on an international vacation 2 to 3 times per year. So we're not going to get there yet. We're just going to be very, you know, 10,000 foot view today, because I don't want people to, I don't want to overpromise anything to anybody, and I don't want anybody to get themselves in trouble or anything like that. So we're going to take it slow. As you're learning more about it, you get more advanced, you'll be able to teach yourself and grow. Just like you grow your business, you'll be able to grow this part of your life as well. So a little bit about why I'm doing this, right? Because you're probably sitting here wondering like, oh, he's talking about all this random stuff. When are we going to get to the good stuff? Okay, so sorry, there's a lot. This is the hard part for me. Everything after this is all happy and go lucky. So I started credit card churning roughly around 2008, 2009. Holly and I had just gotten engaged. We were about to get married, and it meant the world to me for my grandma to approve Holly into our family, because she's going to be the first American into an Argentinian family. And even though we don't have rules or anything like that, as far as like, oh, you have to approve who you're marrying and things like that, that meant the world to me. So I think, you know, in 2008, we didn't have money like this. And even today, $3,500 is a lot of money. We paid $3,500 for 2 coach tickets to Buenos Aires, Argentina, to go visit my grandma before she passed away, to make sure that she would accept Holly into our family. It was horrible. Holly, funny enough, similar to me last week, got food poisoning on the flight. We were sitting in coach. We were crammed in like sardines. It was just this horrible 11-hour flight from Dallas. And I'm just like, oh, there's got to be a better way. So returning from the trip, I was like, I kept thinking to myself, like, there's got to be a way I can come back sooner. There's got to be a way we can go see my grandma, you know, more than every couple of years, because that's what I kind of figured it'd be about 2 years to save up that kind of money to be able to go on a trip. Unfortunately, my grandma passed away 4 months after that trip when we came back from Argentina. I didn't have the chance to go see her again, which really has left a very lasting impact on my life and really has been the driving factor and motivating factor to why I started exploring this. So then same year, I completed my MBA, had a whole bunch of student loans, and literally about a week after I started getting my bills in the mail, my dad goes to me and says, hey, I appreciate you brokering this deal in Argentina, which, by the way, we do sell international real estate, just to tie it back to the Keller Williams family thing. So we brokered a deal for my grandma's apartment in Argentina through an agent down there, even got a referral fee out of it, which is awesome. Sold that apartment building. And my dad gave me $30,000, said, go pay off your student debt. I don't want you to ever have to worry about things like that. And my parents don't come from money. We have very humble beginnings. We were immigrants to this country, moved here 33 years ago. You know, my dad was sponsored by Harnischweger as a company to move here and to literally like work here and like build up our lives, build up our family. And for him to give me $30,000, that was just inconceivable in my mind. Like, I'm like, I have to pay you back. How can I pay you back? What can I do to just thank you for this? He goes, I don't know. Take me to Machu Picchu someday. I would love to see it. I'm like, what the heck is Machu Picchu? So I started doing research. Well, I found out that you could, I found out where Machu Picchu was, which is in Aguascalientes, Peru, and it is one of the natural wonders of the world. So I started coming up with different ideas like, well, how am I going to pay for this flight? I already realized I'm not flying coach again. So I started thinking about how can I get credit cards or this or that. And I came across the first credit cards I came across are American Airline credit cards. You can get 30,000 miles at that time per credit card per person, but they had different brands of cards. They had the MasterCard World Elite, they had the Visa World Elite, and they had the Amex World Elite. So I figured, okay, I got 3 credit cards in my name, 3 credit cards in Holly's name, 3 credit cards in Jorge's name. And, after that, I pulled it all together. And within 6 months, we were on a flight to Peru with my sister. I paid for her to go and coach. And then my dad, Holly, and I were in business class. She's not here, so it's okay. But she came along on the trip anyways, right? She tagged along. And I can tell you, that was the biggest adrenaline rush and life-fulfilling moment. I was like, man, I'm onto something here. Like, that was amazing. You get warm little nuts on this little cup and you're getting served dinner on the plane. And I'm like, I like to live like this. I'm not paying for this. So there's got to be a way to do it, right? So that's when I started discovering about bonus miles. So a little bit about bonus miles themselves. Back then, 30,000 miles for a sign-on bonus, which we'll talk about what that is and how that works. That's a pretty good amount. Right now, you're going to probably see offers from 30,000 all the way to 150,000, things like that. It really all depends on what card, what systems, how much you're spending. There's a lot of, things you need to keep into consideration. But just for the sake of this, this presentation and our time here today, is you got to treat that as a business, right? Everything you're doing, treat it as a business. What is the opportunity cost of me going to pursue this and taking the time to get this and taking the time to spend the money on this card and getting this? Think of it as far as what is your time worth? How are you investing that time and what are you going to get out of it, right? So if you start thinking about it like that, you'll automatically be able to teach yourself to be like, oh, okay, if I'm going to spend this much time doing this and I'm going to get X out of it, you start figuring out what is what is essentially your time per hour, your value per hour of what you're getting out of it, right? Make sure you keep that in mind because there's so many offers out there and they range in value. But typically, my piece of advice, don't touch anything unless it's at least 60,000 miles for airlines, and for hotels, at least 100,000 points in hotels. And we'll talk about that. There's different value systems, right? And there's a spreadsheet that I have that I'll show you as far as valuation of points, valuation of miles, and why there's a difference between what a point is and what a mile is. So how you can do it, right? Before you apply, you want to make sure you're setting a goal. Don't randomly go out after this presentation and just, oh, hey, there's this cool credit card I just found. I'm just going to go apply to this. And well, Santi said 60,000 or more. This is 100,000. Boom, must be a good deal. I'm going to go apply. No, stop right there. Again, treat this as a project. Treat this as a business. Have structure. Have thought behind what you're doing. Before you do any of this, before you go out and get any credit cards, before you go out and try to find points and miles, and set a goal, right? Just like how you set a goal for your business at the beginning of the year. I want to sell $10 million in real estate this year. Well, how are you going to get there, right? You're mapping it out. Every single month, I'm going to contact X amount of people. And based on those contacts, it's going to turn into this many leads, and this many leads. It's going to turn into this many contracts, yada, 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 right down the line, right? Set that goal first and make sure that you know what you're going after. From there, once you have that goal of where you want to go, set a timeline. Again, it's very similar to how we're structuring our time and our business plans to execute on our goals for the year for our real estate needs. And then from there, then you start identifying the candidates. And what a candidates I mean is like conduct your research on different credit cards. What credit card can get me the miles I need to get to where I want to go? What credit card can give me the points I need for the hotel that I need to stay at, and things like that. Yes.
How do miles work? Is it essentially just like free flight for X amount of miles?
Exactly. So basically, depending on like which airline you choose, so there's like American Airlines, Delta Airlines, United Airlines. Everyone will have, their own value prop for flights within the U.S., flights internationally. And unfortunately, there used to be these things called, these wonderful things called award charts, where you could actually go to their website, look at a chart and says, if you want to fly from point A to point B, it's going to be this many miles when it's the off season, this many miles on the, hot season. Every airline for the most part has eliminated their award charts, which is really sucky. So what they've gone to is called dynamic pricing. So they're basically following the revenue ticket system. Revenue ticket system is just like you go on Delta's website today, and the flight to, Los Angeles might be $500. You check 5 minutes later, it might be $520. If you check tomorrow, it might be $480. That's essentially how they're structuring these mileage systems. So for the most part, it doesn't fluctuate too crazily, but there's different tips and tricks as far as how to kind of get an idea how much a trip might cost. And then, so when you're working towards that goal, you don't get to the miles you thought you needed, and then all of a sudden they move the finish line on you, and then you got to get more miles. So you just got to, do some research and make sure that you're aware of what you're looking for. And then once you apply, you want to manage that spend, right? And this is really where it comes into play as far as being extremely important. There's things called credit cards, and there's things called charge cards. Does anyone know the difference between either of them? Okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Might be wrong, but
No, it's okay.
I'm assuming like a charge card is something that you use for like your everyday activity, and then your credit card is something that you load expenses on, planning to pay it off at a certain time point.
Both, but go ahead. Yes.
Would a charge card just be like a debit card essentially?
So a charge card is a credit card, but you treat it as a debit card. And what I mean by that, it doesn't debit out of your bank right away. But a charge card, you are expected to pay it off after that closing day within like 2 or 3 weeks. American Express isn't a credit card. It's a charge card. Whatever you put on that credit card, they expect you to pay that off within 30 days after your billing period closes, right? They have different credit card products, but I don't believe or support credit cards. And you might think I'm crazy here, but again, you're putting in time. You don't want to then start paying an 18, 20, 30% APR because you're charging something and then you can't pay it off at the end of the month. I preach this like every single day of my life. Whatever you put on a credit card, either have the cash in the bank to pay it off at the end of the month, or know that on your next paycheck, you're going to have that money and you're only buying things you need. And what I mean by that is you need gas to drive to your listings and your buyer appointments. You need food to put on your table. You need XYZ needs, not wants. If you want to buy wants with your credit card, that's fine, but just make sure that want that you have the money to pay for it, because the silliest thing that you can do that really eliminates the whole purpose of this is that you charge something on a credit card just to get a sign-on bonus or just to get a whole bunch of bonus miles. And as soon as you start paying interest on your credit card, it all disappears. You're actually in the negative for an ROI, return on investment. Everything is about investing in yourself and investing in the time that you're putting into it. So don't get caught up in the hoopla of like, oh, hey, I'm just going to swipe. And then all of a sudden you get the bill at the end of the month. Like, oh, I don't have $5,000. Well, you got to have a strong financial acumen, and you have to, keep in mind what you're charging. It doesn't just magically disappear. You need to pay that at the end of the month. And then the other part of it is tracking your annual fees. So you're going to have annual fees for most of these credit cards. I will talk about that in a little bit. They will vary from about, some cards are $0. Most of the cards that give you a bonus that's actually worth pursuing is $95 a year. Some cards go up to $695 a year. I'm not promoting or talking about those kind of cards because that's like level 3, 4, as far as doing this. And it's a very unique proposition to get those kind of high level credit cards. But for those who travel a lot more like myself and things like that, there's value that I can get out of those types of cards. And it's simple fact, been doing this for 15 years. I pretty much have run the gamut on every single other credit card in the system. And believe me or not, I have a spreadsheet to track it. It's kind of ridiculous, but it works. So finding that right credit card, there's systems everywhere to find it. Creditcards.com has a great site, and you can actually do what's called a card match tool within the site, where you actually just put in, I think, the last 4 of your social. You don't put in your social security number or anything like that. And they will basically customize credit card offers for you that are more like private offers. So again, that's one way of doing it. You can also go to the blogs, and then you can click through their ads. So then you're supporting the bloggers that are putting out this information. You can also check your mail. You get direct offers, things like that. There's plenty of ways to find options. Again, just make sure you don't haphazardly apply to something. And then make sure you read all the fine print before applying to any sort of credit card. You understand what you're getting into. There's different rules that are out there. Again, this is more advanced levels, but like, for example, Chase has a 524 rule. Chase says you can't open or close 5 credit cards within a 24-month period. That typically applies only on the personal side. So as myself, I get all their business cards and I open up different LLCs so then I can get more entities to get more credit cards. Again, crazy stuff, but you can get there someday, and it really is addicting and fun to do things like that.
So, sorry.
Yeah, no, please.
When you apply for your business card, are you just putting in that LLC that's what you are, or you legitimately have these LLCs?
So you can do two different things. You can do an LLC where you actually open up an LLC. So we have Rooter Realty LLC, and I have Jackson Investments LLC after my dog, and I created an LLC just after his name so I can get more credit cards.
Yeah.
You as a self-employed entrepreneur, as a 1099 employee, you can actually use your own social security number as your EIN or your employer identification number to get a business card. You don't have to have a typical LLC form to get business credit cards for the most part. Once in a lifetime from American Express. The funny part is that lifetime in American Express's database is 7 years. After 7 years, they forget the lifetime ends and then you start over. So it's kind of fun stuff like that. And then Citibank and a lot of these other banks, they only allow 1 bonus per product per 48 months. So it does slow people like me down in being able to get these. I used to be able to get these every 12 months, every 24 months, and they keep bumping that time frame up. So then that's why, organization and trackers are really going to be your best friend. So I actually have a spreadsheet that I track, and it tells me when the next card I can apply to from that product line. And if I do want it, I'll go get it. But if I don't, at least I know that I'm free and clear to get the bonus again because that time is expired. It's almost like a vesting period. And of course, most importantly, know your FICO score. Make sure you check your credit, and we'll talk a little bit about that moving forward. Yes, Ethan.
So with those, the deadlines for the bonuses, do you have to kind of close the other credit card that you have to open up a new one to get the bonus again, or are you just leaving all these credit cards open?
I'll get to that. Great question. So, okay. We're going to talk a little bit about the credit card application process. Again, want to state this is my point of view on things. This isn't me telling you exactly what to do, but this is just good rules and good practice to make sure that you're good with everything, right? Do I have good to great credit, right? Oh, sorry, wrong button. I don't have good or great credit. Don't do this, okay? So you say, yeah, I got good or great credit. Okay, great. Well, do I currently have more than 4 to 5 open credit cards in my name? Again, for example, I have 15, but I'm just a different animal and I've been doing this for a long time. Again, best practices. You do have that many open, probably shouldn't go keep getting more credit cards and stuff like that. Again, it's just fair rules of practice. If you don't, and you ask yourself, do I have the same credit card I'm already applying to? This is a no-brainer. Why are you going to apply to the same credit card you already have? You're not going to get the bonus, So make sure that you're paying attention to that and you're tracking it. If you do, you don't proceed. If you don't, and you move on to the last one. Key here is, am I able to spend the required amount for getting that bonus within the specified amount of time? And most importantly, I pay that off every single month. All of these credit cards, they don't just give you stuff. I mean, they kind of do, but they kind of don't. They have rules, right? That's why I talked about reading the fine print. It says spend $3,000 in 3 months, you get X amount of miles. Spend $10,000 in 3 months, you get X amount of miles. Before applying, know and draw out a mini micro business plan to know, okay, this is what I have to do to get this. And with my traditional expenses, or hey, I have this, I'm doing a roof on a flip that I'm doing. Okay, hey, that's going to be 10 grand. Boom, I can take care of this right away. Or hey, I got to buy more stuff for my staging business. So I know I have this expense coming up. I'm going to put it on a credit card and then be able to get that bonus and sign up. So it's almost what we call like manufactured spend, where the spend is basically there and you're just looking for a reason to do it. Not giving you this as a tip of advice to do this, but I'm telling you it exists. We're all 1099 employees. We all pretty much have to pay our quarterlies for our taxes. The Fed and state, as of just recently, Fed has been doing this for a long time. You can pay your taxes with a credit card. There's fee associated with it, about 2%. But if you're chasing a sign-on bonus, it's a no-brainer. Like, okay, I'll pay you a small fee to pay my taxes, but then I'm going to get one swipe of a credit card, 5 minutes of my time, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of bonus miles. So you take that away, that 2% fee, you take that out of like what your profit is, and then you figure out what your return on your investment is from that. So we're going to go ahead and proceed, right? So where do you start? You want to put, obviously putting together a strategy is going to be a little exhaustive, but before step one, like we talked about, you want to set a goal. You want to make sure that when you're setting that goal, is you figure out what are all the accounts that exist out there for frequent flyer programs, frequent hotel programs. Everything is free, okay? So don't ever worry about that or question that. Setting up these programs is 100% free. I know this is a pretty massive list, but if you can see a little bit, it might be a little hard to see, but I did bold a few of them on the left side for the airlines, and I bolded a few of them on the right side for the hotels and for the car companies. The reason I bolded those is that pretty much everyone here is more than likely going to be flying those airlines for the most part, if you're looking to take trips within the US or as well as probably international. That doesn't mean you can't sign up for the other ones, but I mean, who has like 5 hours to literally go program by program by program? I built this over several years. And as I've noticed that, oh, hey, I want to go to the middle of nowhere and the only airline that flies there is Iberia. Well, then I'll go create a program with them and then I have a spreadsheet to track it all. But for the most part, the big three in the US, typically the big four, Southwest is growing a little bit. American, Delta, United, Southwest. Sign up for their frequent flyer programs. Even if you don't want to do this points and miles thing, do not ever take a flight and don't sign up for the frequent flyer program. You're just leaving money on the table. Even if you get 1,000 miles, those 1,000 miles are like $15. Well, it's free money. All you have to do is sign up for the program and then eventually it adds up. sign up your kids for the programs. There's no age requirements, anything like that. And you're taking on vacation, you're paying for a flight, might as well get them the miles. And then on top of that, you have that for the rest of your life as far as the program goes. Same thing for hotels, Hilton, Hyatt, and Marriott, pretty much the top three. And then you got IHG, which is International Hotel Group, and then Wyndham Properties. And then for rental cars, it's kind of a mixed bag, but Avis, Hertz, and National are kind of the best ones as far as signing up for those programs as well. So choosing the right credit card, right? Obviously having the powerful cards, you're going to get a big sign-on bonus. That's really going to be the biggest way. And that's the way that I've done this for so many years, is really to get the most bang for your buck. And again, treat it as a mini project, I call it. Treat it as a business. Make sure that I'm going to take time away from whatever I might be doing, whether it's my time with my family or it's my time with my clients or whatever it may be. And I'm not suggesting don't sacrifice time with family. I'm just saying you got to carve out time to do something, right? So what is your opportunity cost to do this? And then figure out what your return on your investment is going to be. So again, determining the right credit card, obviously based on your patterns, your life patterns or your lifestyle. Personal credit card, business credit card. Nobody says that if you get a personal credit card that you can't put business expenses on it. Your tax person might feel a little annoyed by it, but you can take the time to separate out those expenses however you see fit or do whatever you want. The business credit card's the best part about getting a business credit card is that it does not affect your personal FICO. So your credit score is not affected by a business card. And it opens up outlets to get more, more entities, I call it, to get more credit cards and be able to keep growing your strategy. Yes.
So if the business credit card doesn't affect your personal score, do you need to have a specific score to apply for a business credit card?
That I don't know, because I've never come across that, honestly. Typically, like if you're doing this, and that's why I always pitch creditcards.com as far as being a good system, because it'll tell you, like, typically it'll have a score range, like you need good to great credit, you need fair credit, you need only good credit. And it pretty much tells you. I've in all the years of doing this, I've never been denied for a business credit card. So, maybe you don't need it, but I again, always just check the fine print and just make sure that, that it's a good fit. And then before applying, if you want to do this, I used to, say like get your annual credit report, you can do that. But a lot of these credit cards already, you have, free credit wise through Chase, and you have different credit programs through Experian and things like that. You see like John Cena on the commercials with the purple cow and all that stuff. Hey, it's goofy, but you know what? You should know where you stand. Make sure that before you're going and endeavoring in something like this, that you know what you're getting into. But I know it probably is a little hard to read, so I'll just go through this real quickly. But what this shows you is that new credit, which is the little purple sliver, 10% new credit. That means new applications to credit cards. That means 90% of the rest of your credit score is based on how much you owe, how long you've had the account, and your payment history. You control all that, right? So it's like you're probably thinking like, oh man, this is going to hurt my credit to open up all these credit cards and that. So real quick, I know Ethan asked a great question about it. How does this affect your status, right? So look at it as 0 to 12. 0 in my left hand, 12 in my right hand, maybe backwards since I'm facing the crowd and going backwards, right? But basically think of it as a simple timeline, right? You have a 1-year timeline. When you open the credit card, they're going to inquire on your credit. When you close the credit card, they're going to inquire on your credit because they're going to close it on. They're going to report this card is not closed. Think of it as a -3 on the front end and a -3 on the back end. So in a 12-month period, you just hurt your credit score by 6 points. But wait, there's more, right? In the middle of those 11 months, when you pay it, when you buy stuff and you pay it religiously, time and time again, treat it as a business. This isn't a game. Like it's a game, but it's a business game, right? You take it seriously, you make sure you're doing things right. And think of it, every single time you cycle through that, it's getting reported every single month. So if you're even just getting 1 point every single month up on your credit score because you're building that credit history, you're building a good rapport with these credit card companies, You get 10 points in the middle, outside of the, the beginning and end. Minus 6 plus 10, what does that equal? 4 points. At the end of that 1 year, one credit card, your credit score goes up by 4 points because you're establishing credit history. Now you can either close the card at that 1 year mark because you don't want to pay that second annual fee because you already got what you wanted out of it, or you keep it open, or you change it to a zero annual fee card. There's different options, but the point being is that, again, have structure and make sure that you're treating this as an actual business, not just randomly doing things here and there. So current credit card offers, as far as what is out there, I could probably have 55 slides. This isn't the point of what is out there, but this is just more so giving you a really small snapshot of what is out there and how the different credit cards compare to each other, right? So you have the Inc. business card. You get 100,000 Chase Ultimate Reward points for after spending $15,000 on purchases in 3 months. It does have $195 annual fee, right? So again, think about that. 100,000 Chase points, 15,000 spend. So you get 115,000 points if you can hit the spend in 3 months. But the way I look at that is that think of it at the most basic level. If you're looking at those points to, cash out, we're not going to get into values of points too much or anything like that. It can get a little convoluted. 1 penny a point, you get $1,150. But I need to deduct $195 from that because I'm not getting that. So then your net profit per se for getting that credit card, if my math is right off the top of my head, is $955. So that's what I'm basically getting after signing up for that card and meeting that minimum spend. So there's that way to look at it as far as a cash value, or I know that I can take a flight to Europe with my wife and it's roughly 60,000 points or 60,000 miles on an airline that I can buy it with these Chase points. You take the points, you transfer them over to an airline, and you just got yourselves probably a flight to Europe is probably about $1,000 on coach right now. Maybe you can probably get some for less, but that right there, what I'm trying to show you is that there's different ways to do this and the valuations can be drastically different. You do the cashback route, it'd be $950 in your pocket and boom, hey, whatever. I just spent a couple minutes, I just made $1,000. Or you take the route of, putting a little bit more work, a little bit more research, and you find a redemption that you want to do, and you just bought yourselves 2 tickets and you're only paying taxes on the flights. So think about that, but then think about how if you start doing it in magnitude and you're growing this and you're getting more trips and you're getting more cards, the flights that you can take, for a couple 100,000, you could probably get a first class flight. So again, it can expand really quickly, but you want to take baby steps. You want to educate yourselves on it and then make sure that you're building out a proper plan around it. There's other cards. So like for the personal cards, so the City Premier card, 60,000 points for 4,000 in 3 months. Okay, that's a little more up a traditional like starter's alley. It's like $4,000 in 3 months. I can spend that on, a PPC campaign or, buying some signs for my listings, things like that. And then you get those points. So you're at the end of the 3 months, you have 64,000 and you keep building them up. And you can do the cash back route or you can transfer them over to an airline. All these programs here I'm showing you specifically, reason why I'm showing you, they're not airlines and they're not hotels. There's 2 different types of points. There's transferable points, and then there's points or miles that belong to a specific brand. Transferable points typically reside in Chase, which is Ultimate Rewards, American Express, which is membership rewards, Citi, which is thank you points, and then there's Capital One, which is Capital One Rewards. The reason why those are important is because it opens up your opportunities so you can have transfer partners. So you can take those points and you can send them to American Airlines, or you can send them to Delta, or you can send them to Hilton. Each one has different groups. You want to do your research, things like that. But that to me is the most valuable point that you can get out of it, is these transferable systems and transferable points so that you can make sure that you can transfer them out to different areas. And it opens up your opportunities as far as what you're looking to get out of it. You're not just, I'm going to get the American Airlines card, but with that American Airlines card, I can only fly American Airlines. Well, if that's what you want to do, great. You know, you can blend that in, but again, don't pigeonhole yourselves into one investment. Diversify your portfolio and make sure that you're touching different points so you can make sure that you're expanding your horizons and being able to get the most out of it. Quick notes, private offers via email or mail are typically better than the public offers. So always do your research. Don't get a text from a friend or an email from a friend like, oh, I just signed up for this card. Let me send you a referral link so I can get some free stuff and you can too. That's great. They're going to get some free miles, but I guarantee you 90% of the time, those offers that are referral link offers, like someone refers you to a card, you're going to get a better offer if you just search for one for yourself. So I've never sent anyone in 15 years a referral link to anything. Yes.
Before I forget.
Yeah.
So we have American Express and
Mm.
just listening to you, I'm just like, all my business stuff, I'm like, I always pay cash for everything, you know, I'm like, no, unless
Well,
it is. But so I can get a business card and then put my, every time I pay for my pictures from VRX, all that kind of stuff. So my question to you is, we have American Express
Mm.
and we have, I think we have like 50,000 points or something.
Mm.
So I can take those 50,000 points and I could take them and open up like a United Airlines account with that 50,000, and then I could get some points from them. Is that
No,
right?
so, okay, so first to back up to your comment about, you know, like that you're paying cash and don't ever forget this, okay? At the end of the day, when you're working with contractors, again, this is all related to our business, right? When you're working with contractors, we work in different places. If they charge you a fee to pay with a credit card, your light bulb needs to go off inside your head. Like, what is this costing me, right? If it's 3.5%, 2%, whatever, think like, okay, I'm willing to pay that fee only if I can get more out of it by getting those points, okay? Don't just assume that I'm gonna pay everything with a credit card now and forever, because cash is still a discount, right? Like, perfect example, we're doing a flip right now, and we contracted an asphalt guy, thanks to Paul Nikolic, who gave us a wonderful recommendation. Guy came out, he goes, $3,800, you know, if you pay credit card to do the driveway. I'm like, oh, okay, well, hey, can you help me out this, what if I pay you cash? He's like, 3,400. Yeah, I mean, even if I get 2 to 1, 7,600 points is not worth $400 as far as a cash discount. So just make sure that you're making those assessments, especially when you're working with trades and contractors, stuff like that. But if you're going like Home Depot, if you're going to Lowe's and stuff like, there's no cash discounts for box stores and stuff. So that's the first part. The second part, the 50,000 points you have with American Express, those are called membership reward points. You can likely transfer them to United, and you then take points and they turn into United miles. But then once you have them in United as miles, they're stuck there. So then you have to use those for flights with United. You don't get anything additional or anything like that. It's just taking it from one bucket and putting it in another bucket.
So what we've always done, American Express has a travel department.
Yeah.
So I say, okay, like the last time we used them, well, I'm going to Arizona, so we got 2 free tickets, you know. And then we could pick whatever airline, they just set it up for us and boom, there you went. So then my second question is, can I take all that money that if I have I think we have a small balance at American Express, can I take that and open up another card and then get bonus from them too?
Mhm.
Okay.
You can get
So
as
they
much-
let you take your,
if you don't want to do a balance transfer, because then you want to get a new card. You don't don't ever upgrade cards because you'll never get an offer. So you're better off leaving that as is, opening a new card. Once you have the new card, close the old one. Don't ever upgrade because they'll just always rip you off. Just real quick, I know we're getting a little tight on time, but the point you made about using American Express Travel or any system that, you know, basically uses your points on your behalf to book travel, your redemption value is about 1.25 cents per point. If you transfer those 50,000 and you put them on an airline, whichever airline you choose that would get you the same thing you're looking after, you're likely to get 2 to 3 cents per point in value. It's the convenience. Think of those systems. But I've learned this too. I'm not saying it in a bad way, right? But it's think of it as the convenience store versus you going being a savvy shopper and doing it yourself, right? So yes, it takes a little bit more effort, but you are almost doubling your ROI on those points that you have sitting in your account.
And then we just went real fast. We just
Yes.
went United and they were like, if you go with their credit card, we'll give you 50,000 bonus miles.
Mhm.
And then my son-in-law was like, that is really a good deal because he said the airlines really give you so many points. Is that true? Airlines kind of give you the most, but
Airlines,
something you had was 120,000 or something.
yes, and it depends. That one, those American Express, so that is the high end. I just showed one example. That high end platinum card from American Express, but the annual fee is $700 a year. The only reason that a card like that makes sense beyond the points is that you get free lounge access when you're traveling, and you get American Express offers, and you get a free Clear membership. So when it's better than pre-check, you go to Clear, you scan your eyes, boom, and you're off through the airport. If you're a heavy traveler, that stuff is a supplement to that. I just wanted to show that there's different levels. I would not recommend anyone in this room just randomly go out and get an American Express Platinum card. Okay, so we'll move real quick. So account tracking, right? So you saw the whole player 1, player 2. I'll touch this very high level, okay? Player 1 is me. Player 2 is my partner in crime. In this case, my partner in crime is Holly. But reason why I call it player 1, player 2 is that when we get a credit card, if we get a credit card, it's in my name only, and she is an authorized user. I don't get a credit card in joint names like you would do a bank account, because then you're just killing off that second person's ability to get the same credit card and the same points. So we talked about earlier about the different entities and the things you can do. So right now, my entities, I'm a little crazy, okay? So just bear with me. My entities are myself, Holly, Root Realty LLC, Jackson Investments LLC, my dad, and my mom. Because I get credit cards in their names too. I tell them, hey, Dad, got your credit card. Let me know when it shows up. Send it over. I'll spend the money. I'll pay it off. Boom, you're going to have 60,000 points. Again, because I've run through so many credit cards over the years, I typically churn about 12 to 15 credit cards a year. And I'm churning a little bit over 1 million to 1.5 million points / miles per year. But as you will see later on in the presentation, I got about 6 minutes to wrap up, but you'll see I need to do that because we take a lot of trips and life is way too short. So you need to take advantage of it. So always keep in mind when you get a credit card, get it in your name only, and then add your significant other or your life partner, whoever it may be, as your secondary authorized user person. So then when you're done with that credit card and you hit your bonus, then authorized user goes and gets the same credit card and then add you as the authorized user. And then you have the same credit card, 2 different names in the same household, and you just doubled your bonus opportunities. Little tricks to the trade that are fun. And so what this shows you is a spreadsheet that I put together, but I keep it for all my credit cards. When I opened it, when I closed it, what my annual fee was, what did I pay, what did I get to sign on? Do I want to keep it open? Yes or no? And if I do keep it open, are they going to give me a bonus? Don't ever just close a credit card. Pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm going to cancel. What are you willing to give me? What does it hurt? Don't ask, you don't get, right? Just like we talk about, hey, when you go to meet a client, ask for the business, right? We ask for those listings. We ask for that buyer to sign that buyer's agency. So why not? In this case, you're the consumer. So call them and ask them like, hey, what can you do for me? Worst thing they're going to say is nothing. Okay, bye. Click, hang up, call right back. You don't have to do that. I do that sometimes, but you can try that. Different practices, right? Okay. So real quick on goal setting, obviously we talked about setting a goal, put that goal in mind and make sure that, you want to make sure that you're collecting the right miles and you're going after what you're looking to do, right? So I'm going to go through this a little quickly, but I want to show you that this isn't just me just blah, 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 blah. Santi this is talking about all these random miles. This is really the truth of my life. And, unfortunately for Holly, I've been dragging her along in this craziness, taking her all over the world. So hopefully she's happy about it for the last 15 years. But I will tell you, when I married that beautiful woman over there, I told her, I will show you the world. I promised her when I proposed to her, I said, I will show you the world. And hopefully, I think she would agree. I've been doing pretty damn good for the last 15 years, taking her all over the darn place. So first trip, as I talked about, 2009, we went to Peru. At the time, things weren't as expensive as it is today. Inflation sucks, but 220,000 airline miles on American Airlines, 210,000 Hilton points, retail value of that trip, $13,000. 2 years later, because I was just starting the strategy, so I did have to take a year off right there, but we went to Madrid, business class flights for myself and Holly, 14 hotel nights between my dad, Holly, and myself, because I had to get him his own room, unfortunately, because we weren't going to bunk with Pops. 200,000 Delta miles and 300,000 points for hotels. Retail value of that trip was about $14,000. 2012, we continued the trips around the world for my dad to show him the all natural wonders of the world. So I took him to Beijing, 3 adults, coach for 1 adult. Sorry, Tomas, that was my little brother. He wanted to tag along, so we brought him with. I'm sorry, Tomas went in business class. Fernanda went in coach again. Oof, Fernanda, I love her though. Those are my siblings, by the way. That one cost me 625,000 airline miles, some on Delta, some on American. The hotel stay, I did some trade-in for miles. Retail value, yes, that is 60 with a zero, $60,000. Those first class tickets, Chicago to Beijing nonstop, were $17,000 a pop. We paid 135,000 miles on American Airlines and $105 per person. Taxes, that's it. And I have pictures of all this if you ever want to see them. 2013, went to Rome with my pops. Again, first class, hotel nights in Rome, Florence, and Venice. I even rented a Peugeot 308 convertible. Couple 100,000 miles, almost 1 million hotel points because we stayed at the Waldorf Astoria in Rome, which is wonderful. Used some miles for car rental, retail on that, 21 grand. In 2014, took my pops to Dublin with Holly because she has Irish heritage and she wanted to check out Athy, Ireland, because just her maiden name is Athey. So we went to there and then got a couple trips to Vegas, squeezed in there. Couple 100,000 American miles, 400,000 Hilton points, and then Southwest for the flights in the US, retail 13,000 there. And they start getting better, as you'll see, as far as like what we've done. Then we started going back to Buenos Aires on a constant basis. And then right around 2015 is where I realized time is way too short and I wanted to really push my parents to take additional trips. So from there, I sent my parents to Vienna, Austria, and sent them on a vacation together by themselves. And you can see retail on those trips about 20,000. The following year, we went again with Jorge. Jorge's my dad. I call him Jorge just to mess with him. Took him to Argentina. And then I sent my parents to Greece because he wanted to go see the Pantheon. Again, the pursuit of happiness, right? Ultimate pursuit of happiness. So I wanted my dad to continue seeing all these natural wonders of the world. And I didn't have time to continuously take him on all these other trips too. So again, we did that one, retail about 24,000. And then 2017, I took my dad to Panama because he's a big engineering buff and he wanted to see the Panama Canal. I even took one of our clients with us too. The one that we sold the portfolio for shall not be named. And then Holly and I went to New York. I took my dad to the Poconos for an IndyCar race as well. And then I sent my mom to Buenos Aires, Argentina by herself because she got jealous and I'm taking my dad all over the world. And she stays home and watched the dog for us because she said she didn't want to travel. So that one's a good trip in 17. And 18, this one is my proudest ones that I've done, is I flew my mom's best friend from Buenos Aires, Argentina, all the way up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And then I put them both on first class flights to Madrid for the 60th birthday of my mom's friend. That one wasn't too bad, only about 260,000 miles, retail about 12 grand. And then we obviously took trips to Vegas, stuff like that. Vegas has been a staple in all these, but those are boring. They're like $1,000 retail, but $0 in paying. But in 19, sent my brother to Argentina by himself. And then took myself, my brother again, my dad and Holly first class to Buenos Aires. And then again, a third trip, I sent my parents to Buenos Aires for their anniversary there. So they went by themselves. And that, as you can see, the prices start getting more expensive. That cost me almost 1.3 million Delta miles, a couple 100,000 United miles, and retail, and that was about 40. 2020 and 2021, as we all know, COVID sucks. And in 22, one of the most proudest moments of my life is I was able to bring my daughter to Argentina. So, sorry, got to keep it together. That one it meant a lot to me. Being an immigrant to this country and being here for 33 years and having my daughter be able to go see where daddy grew up and he was born and everything, that meant a lot. And yes, my 4-year-old flew first class and I just smiled at everyone that looked at her going into her little private cabin. I was like, I only paid $100 for her ticket, so that was great. It cost me about 1.5 million miles, but and then some American airline miles because I then sent my parents to Argentina yet again by themselves. I just got back from Cambodia with my pops, took care of that on points, some flight credits, some global upgrades, and some different hotel points. And then actually I'm sending them in 2 weeks. They're going to Petra and to Jerusalem, all on miles again. And then actually I didn't put it on here, but in August, we're taking my parents to Cancun on vacation, all paid on miles as well. So we're going to go through this real quick. There's financing and dining programs. Obviously, make sure only use cash when you have to, as we just talked about. If you're getting a discount of 3+%, it doesn't make sense to use a credit card. Get the discount, but ask, right? If they say no cash discount, okay, there you go. Go pay that processing fee. Here's my credit card, right? And that's what I talk about in there. The dining programs, the reason I bring it up is that a lot of airlines and they have the Delta, meal program where you sign up to use a credit card at different restaurants. And as you pay with that credit card, you get extra points or extra miles for just going out to eat. We entertain our clients all the time. Why not get extra stuff out of it without doing much of anything for it, right? Shopping online, I'm sure mostly everybody here has heard about Rakuten and Top Cashback and those cashback sites, but there's also online shopping portals. So you can look at those online shopping portals and see like, hey, maybe if I click through this link and I go buy what I wanted to buy online, I get some extra bonus miles out of it. Again, a little more work onto this stuff, but I just want you to know that it exists and there's options for things like that. And these are all hyperlinked to it. So if anyone wants a presentation after we're done today, happy to send this out, happy to share this.
And just FYI, 1-800-Flowers is always on those shopping
Yeah.
ones, and they're always 2 points per dollar, and flowers are gonna run you $85. So
Yeah,
if you ever want to send flowers, go to those first.
there you go. Exactly. Thank you. Travel blogs and brand loyalty. I wouldn't be here today if I didn't learn about this through the travel blogs. Believe me or not, I actually started doing this and learned, and I was actually self-taught. I had no idea blogs existed until someone actually said, oh, you should check out this blog called The Points Guy. And this is 2009. I'm sure now Brian Kelly's obviously a huge celebrity in the points and miles game. Heck, this sweatshirt is from his shop. Travel is my sport. I also have another one called Jet Lagged, and I didn't want to bring that out because that's not PC, but anyways, check those out, right? Like all the information I'm giving you here today, you can find that online. It's really readily available, and it really is a plethora of information. You can sign up for newsletters if you want, things like that. But pointsguy.com, 1 mile at a time. Ben is a great dude. John runs Loyalty Lobby. Frequent Milers, another good one. Nick Reyes and I forget the other gentleman's name, but they run a really great blog there and super humble people. Greg Davis Keene is the other guy's name. People see him at the airport. He's always willing to chat with you. They do little groups down in Chicago in October where you can go do mileage and point sessions with them. It's this whole community. It's almost, it's not as amazing as this entire welcoming KW family, but it's kind of cool. It's similar to that. It's a very family oriented vibe. People are all about collaboration over competition. It's really awesome. Flyer Talk is a great forum. If you want to, if you're into that whole millennial thing where you go into forums and TikToks and all that stuff, I still haven't figured that out, but check that out if you want. And then don't worry so much about elite status. Elite status is kind of overrated. Just worry about how to achieve the goals that you're setting out for yourself and what you want to do. real quick, just wrapping up here, understanding the points redemption. You can use some tools as Expert Flyer for award alerts. Expert Flyer is a program you can sign up for. It's 25 or 30 bucks a month, a year, 25 to 30 bucks a year. And you set the preference of airports of where you want to fly out to, and they automatically send you deals, be it mile deals or money deals of like error fares. You can go to Bangkok for 500 bucks. Someone made a mistake, go buy this ticket. Or, hey, this used to be $2,000, now it's 500. You know, it's totally worth it for 25 bucks. You don't have to do much of the research. And Thrifty Traveler is another great program. I talked about the example trip that I'm sending my parents on to Amman next month in a couple of weeks here, as far as the miles, the points, and how I structured everything together. Managing your accounts, we talked about the opening and the closing, the difference in the annual fees. We talked about, obviously, the different rules that each of the bank has. Again, just do your research, do your homework, make sure. I don't mind questions, and this might sound, a little corny, but seriously, like, I think I said it at the beginning of the conversation or the presentation, excuse me. I thrive off of hearing people's success stories. Like, that feeds me, like feeds my soul, feeds my heart. As corny as that may sound, I am genuine when I tell you this. I would love to help anyone. Just send me an email, shoot me a text. You have my information. If you have any questions about this stuff, I'm happy to help, because like, when you can go do that and then come back like, oh my God, like we were able to do this, or I was able to send my parents here, or I was able to travel with my kids, or I love that. Like, I love that. I get super energetic when I hear that, because life is way too short to miss out on things. One of the last points here is just the points and miles valuations. Experts value points and miles at their own rate. Okay, so you can see from the top of the screen, they have valuations for each one. There's and then I just did a couple of examples of Tom is player 1, Beth is player 2. Tom and Beth each have their own miles. The experts value their miles at about $12,000, roughly what they value it at, right? But let's just talk about to your example earlier, right? So you have those miles, and typically at a 1 and 1.5 cent valuation, that's what they're worth. Well, let's just say you put in a little bit of the effort, and your ROI can be bumped up for about 30-40%, because if you're getting a valuation about 2 cents per point or per mile, your value went up to $19,000. Now say you really do some research, you find some good deals, and you're really cranking these out, your valuations of your points and miles can go up to like $40-some thousand. For a perfect example, the 2 flights to Cambodia, the first class flights, were $17,000 a ticket, 34 grand in flights. And we didn't pay anything near that. Yes, we combined points, miles, hotel points, credits, vouchers, this, that, the other. But again, the point being is that make sure you find that good deal and make sure you're getting the most bang for your buck. Because again, it's treating it as a business and getting more out of it. Yes.
Can I ask you real fast?
Yeah.
You said like you had certain, I can't remember, some was on Delta and some was on American.
Mm.
How do you, you go on the same airline all the time too, right? How do you, I mean, you're not flying Delta and your dad's not going on like.
Oh, no, we fly
How
together.
do you put them together and everything?
How are you
got the-
transferring these points?
Yeah,
so that-
between sites,
Yeah, I keep them. So like the transferable point systems. So like the Chase, Amex, Capital One, and Citi, that you can transfer them to American, or you can transfer them to Delta. I put them into my account, or I put them in his account. If I don't have enough miles in one account, and I have miles in my account and maybe Holly's account or my dad's account, I'll just buy the tickets for whatever account has, a ticket here, ticket there, whatever. You call the airline, say, please merge my itineraries. You will have different tickets, but they'll stitch your itineraries together so that you're traveling together. The last thing is wanted to show you some of our successful trips. So on the top right corner, that's our first trip we took to Peru. That was on top of Machu Picchu with Holly, myself, and my dad and my sister. And then we Spain, Rome, and the Colosseum. That's my abuela Petete in Argentina in 2008. I had a lot more hair back then. Goodness gracious. Time flies. China with my sister Fernanda, Tomas, my brother, my dad, and Holly. Argentina again in 15, the Leaning Tower of Brian in Ireland in 14. And then my parents in Greece, my parents in Argentina, my parents in Spain, Argentina again. I went to Belize for my birthday. My dad couldn't make it on that one, so I didn't put it on the presentation, but that was all on points. Panama in 18, Cambodia, we just got back, and then Argentina a couple times. And I know I went over, so I do appreciate everyone's time. I apologize for going over 11 minutes, but I really thank you for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of